DHS employees that DACA recipients' information would not be shared for enforcement purposes. Have you done that?
I have verified that. It is not proactively shared. If it's a national security threat, that's a different matter, but DACA information is not proactively provided. I have verified that.
That's not my question. Not have you verified it. That's clear to me.
It's in policy. It's in existing written documentation.
My question, I will repeat, is based on a commitment you made to me in another United States Senate hearing.
And I'm saying that written is already exists. So I didn't need to redo it. It already exists.
That is not the point. Have you made that clear?
Yes, I have.
Hundreds of thousands of employees in your department.
Yes, I have had multiple meetings where we have discussed this, and I have clarified again and again. Yes, ma'am.
Have you issued some kind of directive, written directive, to the hundreds of thousands of employees of your agency?
It already exists.
So you've not done that. That's short.
Why would I do it again? It already exists.
Okay, let's talk about why you would do it again. Let's talk about the data that shows that there has been an increase of, I think, threefold of the number of people who are non-criminals by ICE's own definition who have been detained in your department. Can you give me that number, please? How do you reconcile your point, which is that it's clear to the agents in your department, when the data supplied by your own agency does not reflect that?
The data that I have has 92% last year being criminals and those with final orders of removal.
And so where we have information that there has been an increase of the number of people, nearly 3 times the number of individuals with no criminal history as compared to the same period last year, are you saying that's incorrect?
I'm saying I don't have the data that you're looking at. Is it final orders of removal, or is there another national security threat?
No criminal history.
That's not what I asked. Is it a final order of removal?
We're talking about the people that you are contacting. Are you prioritizing equally people with no criminal history as you are those who you described earlier as being criminals because they are felons?
We prioritize those with criminal convictions as well as those with final orders of removal.
So my question is, do they have equal priority in your agency?
They're both top-tier priority for enforcement.
Do they have then equal priority?
Ma'am, we're going to enforce the law. If there's a final order of removal, we will seek to remove you.
Okay. What is your budget request for this year?
I don't have the figure for FY18.
Do you believe that your department and agency is adequately funded, or that you are in need of resources?
It depends on the particular area, but we have worked very closely with the administration to ensure that we do have the tools and resources we need to do our job.
So I'm assuming that you have adequate resources, which is why you can apply equal priority to those who are felons and those who have no criminal records.
Ma'am, we will not ignore the law. If you have gone through the system and you have a final order of removal, you are a priority to be removed.
This past Saturday, following a recent U.S. District Court ruling, your agency resumed accepting DACA renewal applications. Will you commit to providing direct notice to all DACA recipients about their ability and right to renew?
I will look into that. Yes, ma'am.
You will recall that when you
by the way, it's posted on the website, and it's posted for anyone who is a current DACA recipient that they can read it and understand how they can reapply.
It is also posted on your website, is my understanding, that we are no longer accepting initial or renewal requests for deferred action for childhood arrivals. Are you aware that that's on your website right now?
No, I'm not.
I would suggest that you get to that right away.
We will clarify.
During your confirmation hearing, you also told me you would issue written guidance to frontline officers on DHS's sensitive locations policy. And in light of the case that you have now been asked about at this hearing about the 10-year-old with cerebral palsy surgery, can you tell me, have you done that, which is issue guidance to your agents on sensitive location policies?
We've clarified the guidance, and we have had discussions with leadership on how to ensure that every person who enforces the law understands what those sensitive locations are. Those sensitive locations have not changed since 2012.
And what guidance, did you provide the guidance that you're now referring to in writing to all of the agents in your department?
It's in writing.
Can you submit that to my office? And when did you issue that?
We can submit it, we can provide it to you, yes ma'am.
When did you issue that?
It's the same guidance that's been in existence since 2012. What we have done is clarify and reinforce the existing guidance.
And you'll send me that clarification.
Yes.
And you mentioned in your testimony today that in that case of Rosa Maria Hernandez, that your agents were being helpful in escorting that family, the 10-year-old who needed surgery.
To the hospital.
To the hospital. So I would suggest to you it is not helpful for Border Patrol agents to follow an ambulance to a hospital and then arrest a 10-year-old after her surgery. And I would ask you to review the efficacy of the conduct of your agents and your perspective on what happened that day.
I'm happy to provide you the actual facts of what happened. I'd also just like to say, if I could, Chairman, if you don't mind,
yes.
It's not a fair inference at all to say that my comments about Norway were in contrast to any other country. What I was describing was the President's views upon meeting with the Prime Minister, and what I was quoting was what he was told in meeting with the Norwegian delegation. That's what he was repeating. That were words that they said that he repeated that then I repeated. It was not meant to be in contrast. With respect to white supremacy, we take that very seriously. As I said, that we have expanded our prevention efforts of terrorism in the Department of Homeland Security to ensure that we, in fact, are going after violence of any kind. Any kind is not appropriate, and I will not allow it to occur if it's within our authority to stop.
Mr. Chairman, I would just ask that the record, I'm sure, and we can all review it, will reflect that in the opening statements, when discussing challenges to our homeland in terms of security, the white supremacist threat was not mentioned. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Here's where we are now. We have Senator Coons when he comes back for 10 minutes, and then I've had requests from Durbin, Leahy, White House, and Orono for second round. That would be 5 minutes apiece. I'd like to ask some second round questions too, but I'm going to go to Senator Durbin first while we're waiting for Coons. But you can see I've been abandoned by everybody on my side. So I've got to get done by 2 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr.
Does
Chairman.
everybody understand, cooperate in that respect? Go ahead, Senator Durbin.
And, sir, if I could just ask, since it's been 3 hours, could we take just a 5 minutes?
Before they killed them. You later said that the U.S. policy in El Salvador was a fabulous achievement. Yes or no, do you still think so?
From the day that President Duarte was elected in a free election to this day, El Salvador has been a democracy. That's a fabulous achievement.
Yes or no, do you think that massacre was a fabulous achievement that happened under our watch?
That is a ridiculous question, and I
yes or no?
No.
I will.
Sorry, Mr.
I will
Chairman,
take that as a yes.
I am not going to respond to that kind of personal attack, which is not a question.
Yes or no? Would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interest, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Whether you, under your watch, a genocide will take place, and you will look the other way because American interests were being upheld, is a fair question. Because the American people want to know that anytime we engage a country, that we think about what our actions could be and how we believe our values are being furthered. That is my question. Will you make sure that human rights are not violated and that we uphold international and human rights?
I suppose there is a question in there, and the answer is that the entire thrust of American policy in Venezuela is to support the Venezuelan people's effort to restore democracy to their country. That's our policy.
I don't think anybody disputes that. The question I had for you is that does the interest of the United States include protecting human rights and include protecting people against genocide?
That is always the position of the United States.
Thank you. I yield back my time.
Good deal. Now, what was the name of the charity that you ran, Mr. Whitaker?
Congressman, you've mentioned a lot in your...
No, but I'm asking you a very specific question. What was the name of the charity?
You have challenged my character.
No, I'm asking you a question.